All right. We're live. Hello. Welcome to Reiki Talk. This is our live video for the Learn Practical Reiki channel. All right. It looks like that's working. Okay. I had to go live on my iPad because for some reason Facebook was not recognizing my camera. But hello. Hello, Carla. So, hello, Karen. All right, glad that you're here. Hello, Rosie. Wow, all right, we've got people. Yay! So today our topic is, what if people think I'm weird because I practice Reiki? And believe it or not, this is an actual thing that people worry about. Sorry, something on my screen. Okay. This is an actual thing that people worry about. And I'll give you some examples. I have a student who took my 9-month class. Hi, Lena. Took my 9-month class, and he's an engineer by trade. Excuse my frizzy hair this morning. Fun. Okay. He's an engineer. He never told anybody at work that he did things like Reiki and studying chakras, and he could see auras. Never told them. I was like, why are you in the closet? And he said, they're just not the type that would accept me if I did. And I was like, oh wow. I mean, a grown man, brilliant guy, afraid of people judging him. It's true. And he didn't ever strike me as an insecure person. So it's really interesting how doing something that is considered outside the norm by the crowd oh, I have food on me, yay. By the crowd that you're with can affect you so much. So seriously, some people are very concerned about what people will think of them. And this is also especially true if the people around you are like, really religious, or they believe that reality is a certain way. And, maybe they're also very scientific, or one or the other, like my student. So yeah, people do, when they feel like they're really different from the people around them, it can cause some emotional insecurity. Even if you know that what you're doing is real and valid and helpful. But those are some things that we're going to come back to, this real, valid, and helpful thing, because we have to talk about what is real. What is real? Oh, wow, it's a pretty deep topic for a Tuesday morning, but here we are. What is real? So and we're going to talk about what is normal. What is normal? What is real? Where does the definition fall? So, the definition of what is real is also subjective. We all think, oh yeah, I know what's real. This chair is real. These blinds are real, this computer is real, we can all agree that it's there. Certain things are easier to accept as real, but then there's other things, more invisible concepts, that are a little bit harder to prove that they're there. If our 5 senses aren't witnessing them, then a person could argue that they don't exist. So that's a challenge, because when real is usually easier to define by 5 senses. You smell that? Yes, we agree we smell it. It's real. Like that, we agree we smell something nice. Coffee, that smells nice. That is real. Okay? But what if I smell the coffee and you don't smell the coffee? Does that mean that the coffee might not be real? because you don't smell it? Does that mean that something's wrong with one of our noses? Because I smell it and you don't? Or if to me this coffee smells like watermelon, and to you the coffee smells like coffee, does that mean that I'm wrong? This is where things start to get funky, and I'm not talking about smelling it necessarily, just using as an example. If one person's senses perceive something and someone else's don't, and there's this, this conflict, everybody starts to question their own truth. And that's where things start to get, there's a discrepancy. Whether it's something from our five senses, like, oh, you must be sick because you can't smell this, okay. Or whether it's something deeper. Intuitive senses are so subjective that they tend to cause discrepancy. Even my intuitive senses and your intuitive senses are going to respond differently. For instance, I feel very tingly. My hands tingle in specific ways when I give Reiki, and the tingles that I feel relate to meanings that are, talking to me and trying to present something of interest to me. You might also have tingly hands when you give Reiki, but your prickly tingle might mean something totally different than my prickly tingle. And anyway, what is prickly? Prickly is only what I feel and think that means prickly. We can't weigh these things against each other. We can't I can't show you my prickly feeling. You see what I mean? Because that's just happening to me, and it's not even something touching my hand physically. It's an intuitive thing. It's my intuition using that sensation to communicate some information. And your intuition might communicate that same information to you in a different way, in a way that makes more sense to you. It might be a blue. It might be a wave. It might be a feeling in your chest. I mean, the subjectivity that starts to make things, highly individual. And when something is individual, it can be uncomfortable because somebody can't experience what you experience in the same way. Therefore, reality and truth becomes a little bit blurred, and that makes people uncomfortable. So back to the original question, what if people think I'm weird because I practice Reiki? Weird, first of all, is something that's not in somebody's normal, ordinary wheelhouse. It means you have a specific thing that you do in the morning when you get up that might be different than what I do when I get up or what somebody else does when they get up. But to you and to all of us, what we do is our normal, our ordinary, and totally acceptable. But other people might not, might be so enmeshed in their own thing that they do in the morning that they think that's the best thing to do. The best thing to do in the morning is to get up and do some yoga. Okay, but maybe I don't enjoy doing yoga first thing in the morning. Maybe I like a little slower morning where I'm just sleeping until I get up, whatever. We all have things that we want to do, but if somebody feels that their thing they do in the morning is the best thing, they're going to try to convince other people to do that thing and try that thing, do this thing in the morning because it's so good for me. It's probably good for you. But maybe it isn't. And then they may be like, well, she's not a morning person. He is a morning person. He's weird, man. Morning people are weird. I can understand morning people. Or people who are not morning people are weird. I can't understand people who are not morning people. You can't understand, you can't relate, you're not on the same vibe, you haven't decided that the same thing is awesome in the way everyone should live. We can't make decisions for other people in the way that they think is the right way to live. It's really very subjective. I'm really going somewhere with this, I promise. So I'm just talking about weird and ordinary right now. Ordinary and weird are totally subjective topics that have a lot to do with people's what they're used to doing. And I'll tell you something, I wasn't always into Reiki. I didn't know what it was until I was 38. I never had even heard of it. So Reiki started out to me as something weird. The first time I heard of it, I was like, what is that? Raking the leaves? I had no concept. Hello, new people. Heather. Hello, Josie. Hello. I had no concept of what it is. So it was outside my version of reality. It was outside my ordinary. It was over here. So it started out as being something that I might have categorized as weird. Definitely different, unknown, strange. Okay, so anything that isn't in our ordinary is going to be automatically categorized in our minds somehow as strange, outside of our ordinary. Imagine like a circle here. Inside it is your ordinary. My circle's over here. Inside my circle is my ordinary. Your ordinary, my ordinary. Your ordinary might include your religion, your habits, the things that you enjoy the most. Maybe you love to jump rope. I do not love to jump rope. So that is not going to be in my circle of ordinary. To me, it would be very out of the ordinary if I went out and started to jump rope for a while. I've done it before. I wouldn't say that I enjoy it that much. So, you see, your ordinary contains your stuff. My ordinary contains my stuff. Sometimes there'll be some overlap. Awesome. But when I first heard of Reiki, it was outside of my ordinary and inside the ordinary of the person who introduced it to me. So, when we're confronted with an idea, a concept, something that's outside of our ordinary, we or any person, okay, might feel certain ways. Confused could be one of them. Afraid could be one of them. Skeptical, because we think that we know what our real equals. We think we know what life is. But when we're kids, we're much more malleable because like there's so much that we want to learn about because we don't know stuff. And when we're adults, we sort of get to a point where we think we know stuff. And we feel like settled in that. And then it's harder to learn new things unless we go seeking them. If they come to us, someone presents it to us and we don't know what that is, it might be like, whoa, you know? So there's this tendency to be skeptical and slightly afraid of new ideas that people have as a defense mechanism. However, in a safe environment, something that feels safe, in something that feels safe, a person has the opportunity to learn about something new. They might give it a try. They give it a try and let their experience start to show them if it's valid. Skeptical people are awesome because they are open to trying something new and see what they think about it, see what their experience will allow them to feel. Okay. So, that's a really important thing. There's a big difference between a skeptic and a naysayer. A naysayer is someone who's like, nope, I'm not even going to try that. That sounds crazy. You've already decided that's not coming into your circle. Okay. But there's a lot of people that fall in this gray area called skeptics. And a skeptic is someone that's willing to try something before they decide. They choose to rely on their experience to give them a sense of what is real, to help them decide what is real and what might become ordinary and enter their circle. That's called making a paradigm shift, by the way, when something new comes into your circle and you accept it, having a connection. Okay, my connection's okay. Had a brief blip, but looks like everything's all right. Sorry about that. Okay, so there will be a time, most likely, unless you are lucky enough to live on some kind of commune where everyone does Reiki, there will probably come a time that you will encounter both kinds of people that are outside, okay, that either have never heard of Reiki or maybe would give it a try, and people who are like, forget it, that's weird. But they're labeling it as weird because they're either afraid or they're unfamiliar and they've already decided what is real and what isn't because their experience or what they've been taught or whatever it is that has made their circle what it is is set. But that doesn't mean it's not real. That means they're not willing to consider it as real, which means not your problem, quite honestly. Those people, they've made their decision. You can offer, hey, let me tell you about Reiki. But if they're going to reject you because you believe something different than them, now the question is, so how badly do you feel it's important to have them in your life if they're that kind of person? Now, they might be your family. And when it's your family, hopefully you can come to a point where you can accept each other and not love everything the other person does, or not do everything the other person does. My family have all kinds of people in them. They all accept me. They don't all practice Reiki. That doesn't mean that they don't think that Reiki is real or that I am a valid person or whatever. But it's like, my dad's an accountant. I don't want to be an accountant, No, thank you. He wanted me to for a while. I was like, man, I've got to see him. I had one accounting class I had to take in college. He was very unhappy with that. It's just not for me, Dad, But you go. You're the best accountant there ever could be, I guess. At least maybe the most passionate one. But see, it's like this. It's like your thing can be your thing and I can still love you. That's what we hope from the people that are not interested in doing what we do or experiencing what we do. When I first got into Reiki, really got into it, I was so excited about Reiki. I talked about it all the time until my family got sick of me. And I was like, could you just not talk about Reiki for a while? I mean, it was just like that. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like a Reiki evangelist. Everybody should learn Reiki. Oh my God, Reiki's amazing. Let me give you Reiki. I was a little crazed. And I started to finally calm down and realize, okay, there are people here and people there. So now I'm more discriminating about talking about it, but not because I'm afraid of being rejected, but just because I know there's a time and place to introduce concepts that people may or may not be ready for. But that's the whole reason also that I created Practical Reiki, because I want it to be less weird from the get-go. I want it to be more mainstream oriented, explained in a way that anybody can understand, if they're willing, and therefore more accessible. So that's the thing also, it's how you talk about it that really matters. If you can talk about this invisible concept in a way that can sound real and make sense, you talk about the benefits, how Reiki helps. You can talk about what you love about it, what it's done for you, what it's done for others that you have, offered Reiki to. Then people will listen. They like a story. An anecdote is always helpful. They want to know why you love it so much. So if you can explain it in a way that a person can understand, rather than using a lot of vocabulary that they may not be ready for, but instead talking about benefits. Oh, it helps me with stress relief, or I had this pain and then some Reiki and it felt better, and this helped me heal tons faster, I know, and just now people want to know about healing and pain relief and stress relief. They even I encounter those problems. It's familiar. You don't start out by talking about angels and things like that, which may or may not even be part of your Reiki practice, and it doesn't matter. Reiki will still work. So, the bottom line of all of this is, if the person is open to discussion, open to hearing about why you like it, find a way to talk to them that meets their needs, that meets them where they're at, talks about things they understand, and then starts to introduce some of the benefits of Reiki, some of the concepts in a very approachable way for them. I talk about Reiki differently to a kid than to a doctor, or to a social worker, or to someone that practices acupuncture. They all have a different set of previous knowledge and understanding, and if I can talk to them in a way that relates to where they are and starts to bring them over to where Reiki is, then it's a much gentler approach and easier for people to handle. Okay, all of that said, so think about who you're talking to and what words you're using, because that's going to be very helpful in terms of making a connection with somebody who might be open to hearing about it. There will be people who are not open to hearing about it, who have decided without trying it completely that they know what's what and this is not that. So don't argue with them. Don't try to push it at them. You don't have to be in the closet and be shy, but find something else to talk about if you're going to be needing to relate to them. My student, he would not talk about Reiki or intuition at work because he said these people are just not open to that in any way. And he knew if he did, that they would treat him differently, which is just unfortunate. But as a result, he had like these two separate lives that he was living. And that was what he accepted, and that was okay with him. Even though I was like, But you have to decide, what do you need from the people that you're around, and what are they willing to accept if you are sure. Okay, so definitely speak about Reiki to a receptive audience. Definitely offer Reiki. Sometimes the best thing to do is just do the work with quiet confidence, because then people who were maybe previously like, that is weird, might notice some good things going on over here and become more curious than closed. And that really can happen, and has happened to me before with people I love, people I know. They started to become curious because they saw a lot of good things going on. Saw me even getting paid for the work I was doing, and someone's paying you for that, Yeah. Guess what? It's helping them. You never know the kind of influence that you can have on people when you're just doing your work and doing what you love and trying to share it with people who are interested and open. And I'm telling you that because this really remarkable thing happened to me this morning that I'm still trying to wrap my head around. A person who I never met had ordered a couple of, things from me, like just some like little like circle pieces of metal that I stamp with a word and put on a necklace. Had ordered a couple of these for his daughter, and I had sent them to him. And then one time we had a conversation on the phone. He was maybe interested in learning Reiki, wanted to talk a little more about it, wanted to tell me like how much he loves watching videos that I put out and how it makes him feel good. He sees my posts, they make him happy. I'm like, oh, that's really nice, He has a family, I have a family. It's not like about that. It was just complimentary, okay? So it's been several months, a few months, I guess, since I heard from him or talked to him or anything like that. But this morning, I got a phone call, but I couldn't answer it at the moment, and then I called back. And it was this person, and I was like, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And he said, "Well, I'm in your neighborhood, in your city, and I just wanted to drop something off." I'm like, "Everything okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." He said, "I just thought of you and had a feeling that that maybe you could use some help, and I thought I would do something nice." And I'm like, "Sure." So he asked for my address, and he stopped by, handed me an envelope, was wearing a mask, he said hello, very briefly, and then he drove off, and it had $100 in it, and a note saying, "Thanks for making the world a better place." You never know what kind of influence you're having on people when you're doing what you love and sharing it without worrying that somebody's going to think you're weird. Because the people that are going to think you're weird basically are not going to become your clients or your customers. They're going to go do their thing. And I stopped caring about people thinking that I'm weird because I'm doing so much good and I feel so good about what I do. It's fulfilling, meaningful, and helpful. And so if somebody doesn't like it, I pretty much consider that their loss, their problem, or just where they're at. And that's okay. It's not about me. So the most that you can do is to decide that other people's opinions are not about you. If they are going to reject you completely for doing something that is meaningful and fulfilling to you, maybe they're not really the best kind of friend to have. If there's someone in your family or somebody that you work with, you can just have a working relationship with them. They could still know that you do this, but it shouldn't really matter as far as work goes. And if it's your family, then maybe you can get to a point where you can just respect each other's preferences or hobbies or whatever without engaging in them and without it meaning you need to reject them. You see what I mean? So I guess that's where I'm at. I think it's better to share because you never know in what way you are influencing someone just by being authentically you. And because being authentically you feels better than hiding who you are. And ultimately, offering and being rejected doesn't mean it's really about who you are. That's really a reflection of the person that would treat you that way. But instead, it will help you really get your community, the real people that are your community, into your life. People that never talk about it feel very lonely. And at one point that was me. Before I got very excited about it and talked about it all the time, I felt like I didn't have anybody who practices Reiki that I knew, anyone I could talk to. So I started a blog, and that was the beginning of my being able to connect with people. And then I started a website, and all of this gave me courage to start a practice, start volunteering, and then start a practice, and that's how things started to really grow and become an opportunity for me to be more of who I am. So don't worry if someone thinks you're weird. Try to find the people that are in the gray area. Offer. Can I tell you more about it? Can I tell you about how it helped me? Can I tell you why I love it? Can I show you? Are you open to try? Yes, no, whatever the response is. Remember, if you're passionate about it and you love it and it makes you feel good and you're helping people, being authentically you is going to be more important than impressing somebody. That said, if there are people that just can't handle it, so maintain peace. Don't talk about it with them. That doesn't mean don't talk about it with anybody. It means those are the outliers that you don't talk about it with, because it's not going to help anything. Instead, talk about Reiki with the people that are open or possibly would be open to it, or the people that that you can help, which are probably the same thing, okay? It's not up to us to decide how people are going to believe, and we don't have to impress them. We can just be ourselves. So, any questions? Any comments? If you liked this and found it valuable, can you just give me a little like or something so I know that that I've reached you and this has been good. And if you think that I've said something that doesn't make sense, then please also let me know so that I can maybe clarify. Because so far I've only seen people say good morning, which is totally fine, and good morning to you. But if you have any comments or thoughts about what I've said, I'd love to hear from you. Either with a comment or just a like. Oh yay, thank you. Okay, there's a little delay between the time that I say it and the time that you hear it. So I'm just nobody's saying anything, but it's just because of the delay. So, okay. All right, well, feel free to leave a comment whether you're watching this live or you're watching a recording by the time I'm done with the live and you're watching on your own time today. Let me know what you thought about this topic. And if you want me to respond to any situation or question that you might have about this topic, feel free to leave it here as a comment, and I definitely will. And meanwhile, I just wish you all an amazing Tuesday, and I'll see you again next week, if not sooner. I'll see you again next week for more Reiki talk here on the Learn Practical Reiki Facebook group page. And just stay well, stay safe. Thanks for coming. Oh, yay, Josie. Thank you for this comment. It's a great reminder to know your audience, and two, it's more important, I have to read it over here, in how we are being than what we are telling others. Agree, agree, agree. Oh, good, yeah. And that's okay. Heather, you decide where you're at. But to be okay with it internally rather than publicly. You know, you can do both. You can. At least some places that you go. If you can't at home for whatever reason, then, or at work or whatever, you decide where you can be authentically you, because that's going to be the place where you feel most at home. So just a parting thought, I guess. But thank you for your comments. I appreciate it. And now I'm signing off. But I'm still around to comment. And so thank you, everybody. Have a great day.